I have no idea what Bungie is doing right now. Once a beloved developer of the Halo franchise, now they are the definitely less beloved developers of the Destiny franchise. They're only relying on people playing their latest Destiny and people caring about their upcoming game Marathon, which, to be fair, does look pretty cool. But come on, Bungie, what the hell are you doing?
Being Latin A-E-O-X is more than just location on a map, just as being Hispanic is more than the language we might speak.
Okay, there are several degrees of wrong in this statement. The way Bungie said Latina, Latino, and the rest there feels like an afterthought. It's like someone corrected them in the background. Being Latina and Latino is more than just... Sorry, what? It ends with X now? Okay, being Latin... Sorry, there's an E too? Okay, whatever. Being Latina, E-O-X, whatever, blah, blah, blah. See what I mean? And second, Hispanic is not a language. Are you for real? Are you out of your mind?
Are you a madman?
And yes, they got community noted in this one. Not even descendants of Latino migrants in the USA are a fan of the usage of X and E at the end. Latin people or person would be more correct. Latin X and E are suggestions made by people who don't understand Latin languages or foreign culture, and in a desperate attempt to be more inclusive, only ends up being very exclusive. Bungie is so out of touch with reality that I'm just gonna play this clip because it is so appropriate.
You're arguing against reality, and that's exactly what I'm saying here. That's not reality. That's not the reality that I live in. You're not living in reality. You're totally detached from reality.
By the way, Bungie, those hidden replies won't save you from this epic fail of a virtue signal. If Marathon is every bit as good as the original games, you might have a shot at bringing your reputation back to the gamers. Or not. Did you know that Bungie is facing a lawsuit where they are exposed as not very diverse and welcoming and inclusive and all of that? Did you know that this very lawsuit is being done by an employee who was tasked to fix that very problem when they were previously accused of the same thing? So let me get this straight, Bungie. You got in trouble for not being diverse, you hired someone to fix that, then you fired that person for doing their job because they called you out on your BS. Congratulations, Bungie. May you, alongside your former parent company, Activision Blizzard, rot in hell, you absolute piece of trash company. And this is the first hoopla out of the many that I will be discussing in this video. Check out my APB show, link down below, go subscribe, and as always, huge thanks to my wonderful supporters. You guys are fantastic. If you want to see your names among these awesome people, then check out the links down below. Just $1 and you have etched yourself among these legends. Seriously, thank you so much. And now, let's get to the next hoopla. This is Halloween season, and because of that, it is spooky skeleton time. Wait, what? You can't say that anymore? Why?
Don't use the word spook or spooky to describe your theme celebrations. It's a slur. DN. No argument.
Okay, if your approach to this topic is the end, no argument, then I will not even entertain your request. Go screw yourself then.
The word originates in a slur directed at black people.
Yeah, and gay used to mean happy. Times change, and people have recontextualized offensive words to mean something else less offensive. I probably wouldn't call a black person spooky unless they're trying to be scary in Halloween. It'd be more insulting if I don't compliment their attempt to scare, right?
Anti-blackness is very deep-rooted even in our everyday language.
Yeah, I'm sorry to say this, but you won't get too far in life by playing the victim like this. Not every part of the English language are designed to be anti-black or even anti-non-white in general. You don't want to be the person seeing racism in every facet of life.
Keep in mind, I do not speak for black people.
Except when it's something that might offend them, in which case I will speak for black people.
If we want to make our space safer for black folks, the first thing we have to do is to listen to them when they tell us things like this.
Okay, but there are black people that think you're an idiot for thinking like this, so who the hell should I follow?
If black folks sees this as not a big deal in their spaces, want to use or reclaim this word, I have no say in that.
I love how the more and more you speak, the more and more you feel really guilty about doing it.
But if a black person in my space asks me not to say it, I am going to listen to that person. Their safety and comfort matters to me. Hope that makes sense.
So you don't want to offend your black friends. That makes sense. But what your black friends are offended by is not the same as what other black people are offended by. So don't use their opinions as a universal guideline towards not being racist.
People like this are always interesting because they are genuinely upset that people are asking to stop using slurs.
First, we have to establish that the word spooky in the context of the real world that we are living in right now is a universally accepted offensive slur. Not only you have not established that, you told us, DN, no argument. Okay then, you whiny brat. If you're not going to entertain any of my arguments, then I won't entertain any of your requests. You never thought that a take like this would pop up again, but here we go again, ladies and gentlemen. Did you know that video games cause violence?
Leave it to conservatives to not understand what was actually wrong with the violent video games cause school shootings.
Leave it to conservatives? I'm pretty sure it's those very same conservatives that are starting the conversation. What kind of nuance are you offering in this topic anyways? The fact of the matter is, video game sales skyrocket and it gets better as the decades progress. At the same time, violent crimes have gone down. Wouldn't the rise of video game sales correlate with the rise in violent crime if what you are claiming is true?
It can only ever be a choice of video games turn normal people into violent killers or video games have no influence on us all whatsoever.
That's ridiculous. No one has ever said that video games have no influence on people. It's one of the biggest entertainment industry in the world. It clearly does have a huge influence. It just doesn't have the kind of influence that you are talking about here.
The idea of nuance and complexity is beyond you.
And yet here you are, reducing people's arguments into words that you would have comprehended better.
He's an example of the first position which blames violent video games for people being violent, rather than pointing out the objectively true and unchallenged reality that violence in media can influence how we respond to and deal with in the real world.
Emphasis on can. Not that they do influence, not that they will influence, they can influence. It's one factor out of the many that explains why people do things in the world that we live in. Anything can influence that.
The fact that media influences our perspective of the world is not only incredibly obvious, must also be true for things like propaganda to even work, because propaganda works to normalize and encourage certain beliefs and ideological positions.
The difference is, propaganda is fiction presenting itself as reality. Video games are fiction presenting itself as fiction. So just on a fundamental level, you are wrong in this argument. And you are so not gonna suggest that violent media is a propaganda to normalize violence in the real world.
No one has ever shown evidence. I have at most been shown one study that is basically just an academic equivalent of 3D-PD, and people insisting that they can't tell the difference between fiction and reality as if that has anything to do with it.
Yes. Yes, it does. Being able to tell the difference between fiction and reality has everything to do with being able to tell the difference between real-life violence and fictional violence. And also, for that matter, real-life teenagers and fictional teenagers. Most people who cannot tell the difference between the two are the ones that are actually more prone to committing the very crimes that they are accusing people of. Which is why it is bizarrely more frequent you see anti-anime people getting caught as actual predators than pro-anime people. Speaking of anime, are there animes that you like growing up? Don't you just love watching those anime and then realize, wow, this anime is super problematic?
Growing up is realizing a lot of the anime you watch and love as a kid is actually problematic as hell, so you're stuck between exposing yourself with defending it or hating it with everyone else.
Yeah, this is why I don't have a lot of friends. I mean, if my friends have to be the one dictating what I like and don't like, then I'm only gonna be following what my friends like and not what I genuinely like. Good friends love you for who you are, not for what they want you to be. The OP backpedals by saying that the tweet isn't meant to be taken seriously, and now we can still watch the media that you watch when you're young, and you're valid for that, because the OP does the same thing. The OP also says that they too deal with lots of their old favorites being quote-unquote cancelled. Maybe don't add more fuel to the fire by parroting what they're saying next time. But with all that being said, it is true that a lot of anime in the past are problematic.
Hey, what is your favorite anime and why?
Have you heard of an anime called My Little Sister Can't Be This Cute?
Oreimo. He's talking about Oreimo. Oh, sorry, I think he's trying to pronounce the anime.
So there's this anime called Oreimo.
Yeah, that's not how you say that, you freaking tourist. I mean, you can see the brother and sister relationship being problematic, but to me at least, it's the Oreimo being an all-time favorite that's problematic. That's an unprecedented level of trash taste, and that should be corrected by watching some real stuff, like Eromanga Sensei from the same author. Infinitely more trash. And that's all for the video today. If you like this video, don't forget to click the like button and subscribe for more. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.